the fact that men don't ask for help with regards to their mental health is a reflection of how they are in the rest of their lives.
This is one problem that men can't solve themselves, and there's a very specific reason for that.
Women are just more proactive in many areas of life.
But I do think that's in the house. A lot of men are high-functioning men.
So you're saying men just don't care?
Men don't like asking for help.
The woman is saying, I've done the work, you need to do the work because I can see you need to do the work.
They believe that the external problem is causing the feeling inside of them.
Do you think that's arrogance?
No, I think it's lack of education. Welcome to Becoming Untriggered, a podcast brought to you by psychodynamic coaches and parents of three, Lavinia and Andrew.
Together we normalise and unpack common challenges faced by couples and parents, explore how these could be symptoms of unprocessed trauma, and support you with the tried and tested tools for you to show up as the mum or dad, partner, and person you deserve to be.
Welcome to Becoming Untriggered Podcast. Today we are going to be looking at why men, as opposed to women, often wait until the last possible moment to reach out for support in terms of therapy or whatever healing modality they feel they need. And actually, that's the whole point. They don't feel they need it, as opposed to women who are much more proactive in this process. Why does this happen? And what effect does it have not only on relationships, but also on the family unit? Because it does.
Yeah, we certainly see a trend that men tend to be very reactive in terms of when they reach out for help. And generally that becomes when the pain of what they're experiencing in their life becomes great enough or greater than the pain of doing the work. These kind of stats are also reflected in the amount of people that take their own life, with 80% of all people that take their life being men, and suicide being the leading cause of death for men under the age of 35.
That's insane.
And I do believe that the reason for that is that we don't generally ask for help. We don't reach out for help. And there's probably many reasons for that. We're going to talk about some of the reasons today, and we're also going to talk about some of the challenges that creates for men and also in relationship.
I actually think the fact that men don't ask for help with regards to their mental health is a reflection of how they are in the rest of their lives. I mean, women are more, dare I say, efficient. We notice things more. We notice when the kids need their nails cut. We notice when the kids need a haircut. We notice when the kids need shoes that are a bigger size. Women are just more proactive in many areas of life, I think. Map breeding. I know it's a joke, but, if I'm lost, I'm not going to spend half an hour trying to work out where I am driving around. No. I'm going to stop at the nearest person. I don't care if I'm holding traffic up. I'm going to ask where I need to go. And that's kind of stupid because not everyone knows where you're going. And I've often been given wrong directions, but that is my tendency.
Yeah.
So women are naturally more open to delegating, maybe asking for support, letting that support in. That doesn't mean that women are also terrible at being martyr mothers. That's a big thing. But in general, I think we notice things more. A client said this to me just the other day because she's had a lot of fertility problems, and she was describing the whole IVF process. And she said, did you know that? Do you actually know how a zygote is formed? And I said, no, I don't. The egg, it's not the sperm. The egg, once it's fertilized, takes control, and the egg starts lining up all the chromosomes, 2 2s, 3 3s. I didn't get the ins and outs, but anyway, she was broadly speaking, it just made me laugh. So I thought, even when you're not yet a fetus, the egg is taking control.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, I think you're talking about two aspects there. You're talking about like being proactive and noticing things. I 100% agree with you that women are more proactive, but I do think that's in the house, like internally. A lot of men are high-functioning men. They are very efficient in the way they go about their business or their passions or their interests. If it's a triathlon or me with golf, I'm very efficient at organising that part of my life.
So you're saying men just don't care?
I think this is a generalization, and it's changed a lot, but men generally tend to be outward focused and women tend to be inward focused a lot of the time. And the second part of it is asking for help, which I think is definitely a gender thing, and men don't like asking for help. I think unconsciously they see it as a point of weakness.
Yet women don't. It's not weak to ask for someone else's support or someone else's expertise.
Oh, but it is.
Well, that's
For
the
us men.
problem, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is
so
part of the
that is the
problem.
problem. So men almost think they're better than any expert or they're equal to. So they don't need support. They need to work out how to do it themselves. So therefore, they are their own healer, which clearly they're not.
This is one problem that men can't solve themselves, and there's a very specific reason for that. I don't think men think they're better than everyone else. I think men like the challenge of working something out and trying to fix it themselves.
Well, men are more, as we've said in previous podcasts, individual. They're more focused on themselves and their purpose. And that is what the masculine energy is. The feminine energy is more relational. So I think women do find it easier to ask for help because we like to share, we like to talk, we like to be open. I don't think it's such a big deal for women to be emotionally vulnerable, at least.
Yeah, I think this goes back to one of the main points and the main reasons why that I want to talk about. We know that both men and women receive trauma or pain or whatever it is in childhood. And I think it's that point where some of the differences start to come in. A lot of men, and this isn't about all men, this is about a certain type of man, they will feel pain, they will feel emotion, they will receive trauma, and they will repress it and they will ignore it almost. A lot of the men that come to me to do this work, the story is that their childhood was great, was perfect in a lot of ways. My dad was amazing. My mum was amazing. That's part of this story of putting a positive spin on their experience that enables them to go on and have a functioning life, to not feel the pain that they had to repress every day as children, and just to get on with things.
Well, women repress too. It's not like women go telling everyone about their trauma and reliving it.
Yeah, but it's a lot more acceptable for women to feel and express their emotions. That's another part of it.
Yeah, maybe women act it out more. We definitely repress it as well, but we act it out more. And I think it's the fact that we act it out and we don't like what that looks like, which brings us to look for support, particularly in parenting. When you see the effects that your volatility, obviously I'm only talking about a certain way of acting out, but screaming, manhandling, yelling, throwing, being emotionally disproportionate, that's not a nice thing to witness. It's not a nice thing to feel, right? You feel out of control because you've been hijacked by a younger part of you. So it doesn't feel like you. It feels disproportionate. It feels out of control. But women notice that, they don't like it, and then they see their children often reflecting it back to them. It's that process of acting out that draws them to seek help. And perhaps because, like you're saying, most men, I think, don't act it out as much, although anger, I think, is more, inverted commas, acceptable. A lot of men are angry. They don't see what they're carrying. They're not even aware of it.
The women that you're talking about have all the pain before they have children. So they're not trying to create the best environment or the best version of themselves until they see it reflected in the outside world.
Yeah, because...
which is the crisis of I'm being a bad mother.
Yeah. They care about the effect it's having on family. But I'm not sure men do. This is the problem that we've come across, where the woman is saying, I've done the work. You need to do the work because I can see you need to do the work. I can't feel you. You're not connected. You're not present. You're mopey. You're angry. You're dissatisfied. Do the work. And the man will go, I'm fine.
Well, I think some men say I'm fine, but a lot of men actually do the work off the back of it, especially when the wife has done the work first. But unfortunately for a lot of men, it does take an ultimatum. And that's one of the points of crisis where we know that men tend to reach out. I think men see it as this is a normal phase of life. I'm stressed. My work's high pressure. I've got a young family. This is a stressful situation. There's conflict. The relationship's not ideal. But this is just life. I'll get through it or I'll find a solution. I just need to look after myself. I need to work out harder. I need to meditate. I need to do whatever.
But women won't accept that. Women don't say this is normal. And maybe it's because there are so many parenting experts and relationship experts and we're being fed this information on Instagram. Maybe men aren't. Maybe the influences on men isn't about how to be relationally better.
I don't think men look for solutions within the relationship. I think they often look for distractions or ways to make themselves better. But a lot of time, distraction, actually.
Well, look at, I mean, I barely go on social media anymore, but when I do, it's women telling women how to be better mothers, better partners, better whatever, everything. Men, it's mainly fitness. It's about the self again. It's not
Working out.
relational.
No.
So you could say that the influences that are out there for men play to this masculine energy of individuality.
It's not necessarily about it being individual, because this work is very individual for men. It's just about not necessarily having the right solutions out there. Men recognize they don't feel good. They feel stressed, they've got conflict, whatever it is. Most men, when they recognize something's not quite right or they don't feel good, they might try and do something about it. Generally tends to be something either physical. I need to get fit. I need a hobby. I need to do a triathlon. I need to do whatever it is. Or external. I need to solve this problem by, if I make enough money, then I can retire and then I'm not going to be as stressed and then I can spend some time with the family. Or if I just do this bit of work or I just do this project, then I'm going to feel less stressed. They very much associate the feelings they've got in their body with what's they're experiencing in the external world. And they think that if they can change those things, they're going to feel better. And a lot of the information out there is guided towards that, when the reality is the opposite.
But isn't that true of the mental health industry? I mean, we talk about the past and the effect that the past has on the present. But I think most therapists are dealing with the present. You have to talk about what happened last week. No one goes, well, how about how that relates to how you felt when you were 5?
Yeah.
So the whole system isn't particularly supportive for men, I'd say. I mean, look at most modalities, or many healing modalities involve talk. I would say that this comes more naturally to women. If I share a problem, I feel better. I don't need it fixed. I just need it heard. I need to feel seen. I need to feel that that problem or issue was important enough that someone listens. I can even journal it out. I don't even need someone else to listen. I can journal it out. My journal witnesses and validates me. That's the emotionally literate kind of way of doing it. But maybe that puts a lot of men off. So maybe they do want to ask for help, but the help they assume is going to be in this, like, how do you feel? Tell me how you feel. Talk about that. And maybe they don't want to do that.
I don't think that suits men, and it doesn't work anyway.
I don't think so.
One of the reasons why men engage with the work that I do is because it's practical.
Yeah.
It's based on information, answers, right? You understand, okay, this is what I'm doing now. And instead of projecting outwards and trying to fix this, I just need to fix this, which is inside me. Okay, that's great. That makes sense. And it's not about talking. It's about learning a tool that enables you to let go of the baggage that's causing you these problems.
Yeah.
And also find and integrate the parts of you that are keeping you from being authentic and turning up the way you want to turn up. So there's answers, there's structures, there's tools. It's very practical, and also it's within a time container. Like, who wants to sign up for therapy for 10 years where you just go and chat to somebody about how your day was?
I mean, I just thought of something. I used to work in corporate events, and what are the corporate events that men organize? Golf, you're not really talking. Watching a horse racing. Going to
sport in general, events.
Watching an event. Yeah, it doesn't really involve connection through talking. Men connect through perhaps doing or just presence.
Or alcohol.
Women, your alcohol. But again, how much talking gets done. Women like to go deeper and talk. And I know we talk about this a lot. Why do you do more somatic sessions than I do? And I always say, well, I think women need to understand and have a lot more context. But maybe actually it's just that I need to talk with women quite a lot, and they need to talk to me before I can do a somatic session. Otherwise, they can't really go there. And I wonder whether the talking process itself, even regardless of what you're talking about, is how women connect energetically. And you don't need that, which is why you go into somatic sessions. That's pretty much all you do.
Straight away, yeah.
Straight away, and that's all you do. I do them very rarely, and when I do, they're very powerful because most of my work is talking.
I don't think men need that. My insight on what you've just said is that women are very close to their emotions. So it's almost like the talking creates separation between them and their emotions so they can let it go.
Or they connect to the emotion as they're talking. Like I always say to my clients, when you're writing in your journal or talking, if it's intentional with consciousness, you're consciously doing it, the words are vehicles for your emotion.
Yeah.
So the act of talking, you are releasing. I don't think it's the same for men.
I think men are separate from their emotions already because of the way we're structured and also our normal coping mechanisms of repression. So it's quite easy for men to slip into releasing that stuff because there's quite a lot of distance between us and the emotion. So we are singular, we are this lighthouse, whatever you want to call it, where we can pretty much straight away, as soon as we've got the tool and we understand what we're doing with it, we can start unloading the baggage.
Yeah, I think women find that hard, which is why I always externalize the inner parent. I know we've talked about this before. You don't externalize an inner parent. It's your higher self. Women can't do that because they are still attached to the inner child who doesn't feel lovable. So how can you love yourself? You can't. You're receiving because this entity presence being is just a very loving person. So you're in the line of fire of that love. And obviously that becomes internalized with time as you're able to receive, which is again, going back to this role of mother. Yes, women are turning to healing for support when they become a mother because this, whatever role they've taken on is part of who they are. We identify deeply on many levels with our roles. And I think men, it's more of a hat that they can put on and off.
I don't necessarily agree with you. I think men identify very much with their roles as husbands and parents in particular. I just think it's a relationship with emotions. Part of being a woman is being this storm, as you like to call it, or this river or whatever it is, which means, part of the feminine, which is believing how you feel and acting on how you feel. Whereas men are more stable. So the emotions can come and go and you can witness the emotions and you can not attach to them.
We're saying men find it hard to ask for support, maybe because it's less consuming. When women aren't feeling great and not only are they acting it out, so it's obvious and they attach to the role of mother so they don't want to do that, but also it's more all-consuming. Our wounds are more lived out. Whereas from what you're saying, if a man finds it easier to detach from his emotions, then it's easier to repress. So it's not so much a part of your life.
The story men tell themselves is that if they can solve an external problem, then they're doing the work because they believe that the external problem is causing the feeling inside of them. So they're always trying to solve the external things and they don't look at themselves. They don't realize that the key to solving all these problems is actually a lot simpler than controlling the rest of the world.
Did you think that's arrogance?
No, I think it's lack of education. If everybody understood the concept that the world is a mirror and you are creating it in real time with your energy and your unconscious beliefs, and that you have ultimate power over that, so you can create the reality by doing the inner work, then I see what I see when men come to me. They go, okay, well, I get that. Let's do it. I think men are sold the dream of having more money and a better car and a six-pack and whatever it is, and that's going to solve your problems. Just circling back, I definitely think there's a difference between men and women. I think men really struggle to ask for help.
And then women become the nags. And then you go into a really dysfunctional dynamic, if we're talking about a heterosexual couple, of the woman mothering, nannying the husband to do the work. And that's not okay. It just makes it way worse.
Yeah, I think that creates, even if the man kind of wants to do it for himself, that creates resistance then. Because again, it feels like somebody's telling you what to do.
You're being disempowered. You're being emancipated.
Yeah.
No one wants to emancipate. But the woman doesn't want to emancipate, man. They're saying, please do this work. But like you said at the beginning, and I hate to say it, but I do encourage women to lay some kind of ultimatum because often that is the only thing that gets them to finally, under duress, at least just book a call to see if someone might be able to help. I mean, that's what happened to us. Do you remember?
I remember it very well.
I didn't particularly want to lay an ultimatum, but I think women are faced with no other option.
I think it was an important part in our relationship where I looked at some of the deeper issues that I hadn't addressed yet, which were stopping me from fully committing to you energetically.
So actually, that's what we're talking about when we're saying, when you said, oh, women actually don't do the work until it's crisis point. That's a good point that you've just made. I started inner work when I was 23. I've been doing inner work for as long as I was psychologically evolved enough to do it. But I didn't start the deep work, the real meaningful past psychodynamic inner child work until I had children.
Yeah.
Whereas men, I don't think necessarily go into therapy aged 20.
No, not many. We just drink our way through it and hide it and go to work. I want to bring you back to that point about the conflict and the nagging and the ultimatums. There is a point where a lot of men come to me in that position where they maybe feel like they're being forced to do the work and they're doing it with a bit of resentment. And we have to bring that into the healing process because they've got to take ownership of it in order for it to work. But there's a point in their process that we discuss, which is about these women are actually, they're poking and they're triggering and they're forcing you to do the work that is for your benefit.
Yeah.
It's not like they want you to suddenly close all the fucking cupboard doors or do something you don't want to do.
Well, we want that as well.
Yeah, that's a result. They want you to stop being an inner child, to turn up fully as the present, authentic, best version of you. So is that a good partner or is that a bad partner? Even though it comes across as nagging, if you've got work to do, you don't need a quiet person that just accepts all those parts of you. This person's shining a light on the areas of work that you need to do, and they won't let you not do it because they want the best version of you for themselves and you and for their kids. So there is a realization where the men go, actually, we are on the same team here. Like, this is for the greater good of everybody.
And on an unconscious level, you've picked that partner.
Very much so.
Right? For your highest good. Just as your children poke every wound that you've got because unconsciously they need you to be the very best parent that you can be.
What I would say to men is that part of the journey, certainly if we had trauma as childhood, part of what makes us high functioning and getting on in the world is repressing this stuff. But when we have kids and when we get into a relationship that we don't want to run away from, all this stuff actually comes up to be processed. And the thing that's worked for us in our whole life, kind of running away from this stuff and pretending it was all right and getting on with things, that doesn't work with this stuff. You've got to turn round. You've got to turn inwards. You've got to ask for help. And then you've got to do the opposite of what you've been doing, which is going in and doing the inner work, feeling the feelings that you've been running away from all these years.
So how can we help the next generation of boys, adolescents, to be more able to ask for help?
I don't know. That's a really good question. The first thing is try not to traumatize them too much so they don't have to repress and hold on to all this stuff.
Yeah,
so I think the first thing is bringing boys up in an environment that isn't too traumatic, but also is safe for them to express how they're feeling, being vulnerable, not have to hold on to it, not feel like they need to carry the load.
It's still not happening.
Well, we can do it as individuals.
Decades, do we have to speak about this before something changes? I don't get why it's not changing.
I think the more men that do this work now will change the next generations, and definitely more people are doing it now than, nobody did it in our parents' generation.
Yeah, to be honest, actually, you've hit the nail on the head. It has to be the men that do the work. So women can encourage their children, their boys, to be more vulnerable and open, but that's role modeling what it is to be a woman. That's being a good mum. That's not necessarily role modeling what it is to be a man. So I think it has to be the men that role model being a man in all the ways that are good, but also adding in that element. And that can't happen until the men do the work. It's essential if we want a different society for the men to do the work.
Yeah, you're completely right. Circling back around all of this, one of the reasons is the society and the culture and the masculine thing. But the other thing is that men don't widely have the right tools they need to reverse whatever experience they've had to get the help they need. We've all got access to emotions and we all feel emotions. It's just, do we repress them or not? Do we have a ton of repressed emotional baggage so all of this stuff is underneath or being hijacked or triggered? If you can learn how to get rid of your emotional baggage as a man, then that allows you to turn up and react proportionately to your emotions as a man, as a husband, and as a dad. Right? And that's what you're showing your sons and your daughters of how to be a man and be emotionally proportionate.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that you have to cry or that you have to like sit down and talk for hours, but it's being able to know how to not let the repressed stuff stack up so that it then comes out disproportionately. Having an outlet that isn't drinking.
It can be even about expressing joy.
Yeah,
and like
totally.
happiness, and like it's just being in an environment where all emotions are welcome and equal.
You're right. It's not just sadness. We're all focused on, men need to be able to cry and say when they're upset, because then they end up taking their own lives. But going back to acting out what you feel, women look more happy and more sad. There's like a whole range of emotions that we show on our faces.
But like
Joy.
you said, we have to be the banks for your river. If that's the case, you can't have it both ways as women. Yeah. Men understand that women are more volatile or emotional, and we can appreciate that. But also men are more stoic or more central, more stable.
But at least within men's groups, or in terms of father-son dynamics, that can happen a bit more, and that will come from men doing the work.
Yeah.
Conclusion, men do come to this work slightly more under duress than women. That can cause massive issues within a relationship and issues in terms of role modeling, what that means in terms of being a man to your sons. Part of that is because men are singular. Part of that is because men don't have the support that perhaps resonates with them, because maybe they think it's all about talking. I think your somatic work is a brilliant example of something that does work in a way that really fits men. And we need more men to do the work, because that's how we're going to bring up children, boys that can do the work.
They're great points. And finally, I would say, don't let the relationship deteriorate to such a stage where the relationship breaks down before you try and do the work that could save the relationship.
Yeah, so
it's not going to get better in another relationship. These are your challenges that are being highlighted by this partner that cares about you and by your children. There's two ways you can go. Either see it as nagging and you need to change your wife, or try and take responsibility before the relationship deteriorates and the family is separated, to do the work that makes you happier, that allows you to turn up as the husband and the father you want to be.
If what we discussed was helpful, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. For more of the same, check out my social media, The Inner Child Healing Expert, or to work with me, go to laviniabrown.com.
You can find me on andrewlynn.net or Life Coach for Dads on Instagram. We work with both individuals and couples. If there are any topics you'd like us to cover, please reach out. Thanks for listening.